Welcome to SML Total Access, where we break down news, predictions, and more in our Madden League. Now, let's get fired up for SML football.
Hello and welcome back to SML Total Access. I'm Primetime 000, joined by Matt and Dan. SML Total Access, I was thinking about this morning, one of the, if not the longest running podcast in the Connected Franchise community. We're one of the longest running leagues, and this podcast has gone on since 2018, I checked. So pretty crazy. Anyway, how's it going, fellas?
Doing good, man. Ready for playoff action to get started this weekend.
Yeah, it's playoff time for some of us.
We'll talk about that. We got a action-packed playoff type of episode, starting off with first down. There are some big names who could be and are out of the playoffs. Obviously, QP was eliminated yesterday. Bomber, I ran some math late last night, and I believe Bomber is out. That's not a guarantee, but there's a good chance he's out. He's on the edge. What do you guys think about this? What's the cause? What are you thinking? Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think the cause is clear. I think the SML, and we talk about this in chat all the time, the SML is just plain better. There just really aren't many free wins. I feel like you used to be able to look at your schedule and be like, okay, there's 7 wins. I've got to just beat with these. There's 7 clear wins. I'm going to win those games. I don't even need to think about it. Now there's these 50-50 games where I got to get a couple of them and I'll be good. They just don't have that anymore. And as I look at schedules preparing for this show, I always think that, I look at Bomber, he lost to Colt, he lost to Mike, he lost to AJ. I mean, these are games that you think he should win because AJ's not in the playoffs, Colt's not in the playoffs, Mike's not in the playoffs. And I'm going to talk about Mike again in a second. These guys play good football. They don't do the 1 or 2 things they need to win consistently, but they will battle you. And if you catch them on a really good day, they're just going to flat out beat you. I'm a little bit worried about Bomber just because his schedule was easier. He wins, I think, any of those 3 games, he probably makes the playoffs. Now, if you go to QP, all of his losses were to people that are in the playoffs, except for the loss to Finns. One thing I'm a little bit worried about QP, his division is really tough. So guess what? A lot of his losses were in his division, and he's going to probably have that problem again next season. And he's the number 1 passing offense in the league, but he's the 30th rushing offense in the league. I know that's how he was taught to play. And I just, you can't do it. You can't do it. You have to be able to run the ball. And that's how I feel about the playoffs here.
Yeah, I want to only correct one thing, Matt. There is one guaranteed win in the SML. We won't mention his name. Sorry, Gil. Anyhow, I mean, what is so great about the SML is not only the competition level, but the fact is that we go from cycle to cycle, or we go from Madden to Madden. And these guys, specifically, let's talk about Q and Bomber. They've been beaten up on some of their division foes for seasons after seasons after seasons. I think Q was mentioning he never lost to Gutta, never lost to Filthy this cycle. And those guys they're competitive. They want to win. They're going to learn. They're going to adapt. They're going to adjust. And so Bomber and Q both have to learn. Okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to change up? What are other people doing to me? That's kind of the beauty of what the SML is. If you don't change, if you don't adapt, unless you've been, gifted by the Madden gods by getting super teams and can just rely on those abilities. If you don't have those, you got to learn. Hey, what's the new thing? What's happening? How can I do this? So I definitely think, that both those guys again, and the question will be, will they have the energy? We kind of starting to hit the Madden fatigue moving into the summer. Will they have the energy to adjust, to adapt? I think Q might. Bomber, I'm not sure. Bomber might just be kind of packing it in and looking for next cycle. But I think both those guys out. It's pretty big news.
Yes, I'm going to make a very specific. I want to talk about them too, and then I want to make a kind of a broad statement, I guess. For Q, I think it's just kind of a blip season. I don't know if he's ever missed the playoffs when playing all of his games. I think he gave one forced loss out, but I think he got a little distracted talking trash at the beginning of the season, and that might have hurt him a little bit. Just kind of But he'll be back. He's got a really, 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 really good team. And he's going to be hungry. He's going to be humbled a little bit. And I think he'll be back next season. Not really worried about Q. Bomber, I am a little more worried about just because, I mean, okay, Q, he's won multi-Simbardis over the course of multiple cycles. So he's not a guy who has just won one in one random cycle and then never again. Q's been a multi-time champion at different points and different Maddens, which is a true sign of greatness. With Bomber, his team was kind of crappy to start this cycle, and then he's built them up, and he's got inside stuff, his great DT, Fields is devved, he's got a good running back. And now, like, his team should be ready to go, and now he's kind of struggling again. And he struggled last season with the Jets and didn't meet expectation with the Eagles. And it's been since I think he had the Browns when he was last kind of that elite top echelon type of player. So I think Bomber's going to have to find a way to dig deep. And no, his division, Paulie's a solid player. AJ's a solid player. But his division is pretty winnable. Coop isn't, he's got a lot going on. He's got a broken leg and he's on painkillers. So that's impacting his play. So Bomber could still win his division these final 2 seasons and make a playoff run. He's got the team for it. He's just going to have to kind of get a little gritty and win. But to your guys' point, I think there could be a bit of like an era talent change. We're seeing in the NBA with the Kevin Durant's and LeBron's and Curry's aging and some of these newer guys stepping in. SML, look, the truth is we've gone on since like 2017-ish, 2016 maybe. And every 3 to 4 years, I see this happen. This happened in 2020, 2021, where the Futures of the world and the Grahams of the world started to diminish in skill set, the lawyer killers, and everyone's like, oh, these guys were good at one point. Well, yeah, they were. And then people kind of laugh about it and call them plumbers. I just hope people don't start thinking this generation, the bombers of the world are plumbers now. Like you start thinking maybe Wine might think that or something. I don't know. But I think that's a big credit to Primer for what it is. I know sometimes Primer gets poked at and jabbed at, which kind of frustrates me because when you look at Primer and you look at all the leagues in CFM, Primer's gone on for over 5 years now. August 2019 is when it started. We've had blips. Primer's lost its best members to the SML. We're constantly taking them out, and Primer still runs consistently and helps feed the SML with better quality members. It ends up being better competition members, and it's helped the SML not just stay full, but have a consistent good product. So I just want to shout out Primer for kind of what we're seeing, I think. And sometimes Primer gets made fun of, but Primer has really served its purpose and has exceeded my expectations. 5 years, a lot of great leagues have blipped because of blip, and still going strong despite losing its members. I want to give that plug while I go off the bunny trail. That was a long-winded answer. Second down. Who puts on the glass slipper and becomes Cinderella this season?
Yeah, you look at that and the AFC, I don't know if there's a real candidate for the Cinderella. I mean, you'd have to say it's probably only 3 people, Gutta, Filthy, and maybe throw Bean in there. And I can see any of those guys winning a game. I can't see them winning 2 or 3 games to get to the Super Bowl. There's just the AFC is just so heavy at the top. So I don't know if there's any in the AFC, but then on the NFC, it's probably all 6 of them minus Doink. I mean, it's just crazy over there. So whether or not Larry, the new guy, can do it, who, hey, again, just a shout out to him. He's just done a really good job kind of balancing out the little bit of trash talking, but with some humility in chat. I just really like his flair. I like what he's bringing to the table. Can Dom come out of retirement and do it? Is Paulie, had some pretty big wins. You mentioned him earlier, kind of been under the radar. Can he pull together? With Meats, if Meats sneaks in, does he get set feet elite? So I think the watch is on the AFC side, the NFC side, and I'm gonna just kind of throw Coach P out there. I think he's someone that you got to keep an eye on. I think he's gonna do some things. I may or may not have helped him out a little bit right before the Truth episode, giving him a little pointers, and so I'm gonna be pulling for my boy Coach P over there in the NFC.
Yeah, for me, I kind of took the opposite approach as Dan, where I think the NFC is so up in the air. They might either all be Cinderellas, but I mean, you look at the 4 through 7 seed, all of those guys have made a Super Bowl this cycle. 2 of them have won one. So I can't really think of a Cinderella in the NFC, I think Paulie is probably the one just because he's had some playoff runs, but he has just not really had much success this cycle. So I went to the AFC and I was going to say filthy just because I think he has a very, very good offense or the potential to be a really, really good offense. A lot of timing routes, really good at that. But gosh, getting Prime in a first round is a little bit rough. So hard for me to pick filthy. I'm just gonna go with Gutta. I think obviously he has to play Wine to start, and that's not a good draw. They usually split their season games, and it's usually Gutta winning a close one and then Wine spanking him. So it just kind of depends on which turn it is. Hopefully it's the Gutta winning the close one, but if he gets by Wine, that has to give him confidence that he can beat anyone. Maybe he already has it, I don't know. But if he can beat that Chiefs team, a set feet lead, superstars on every position, a guy that has, typically had his number if you add all the points together than the games they've played, he's got to feel like he can beat anyone. And then he goes in against Dump thinking, gosh, set feet lead? I'm not worried about Burrow. I just beat Mahomes. So I'm going to go with Gutta.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm looking the NFC side as well. Dan took my answer with Paulie, so I'm just going to shout somebody else out. I'm going to go with Dom, old D Muse. He's a little green yet. He hasn't played many games, but I think he's in the number 1 seed right now. And if he gets that bye week, and then he wins 2 games, he's in the Super Bowl. So Dom is a good player. His game translates well. He's, again, a guy we just talked about in the last segment, guys who are consistently good across cycles. Dom isn't consistently a Super Bowl champion, but he's consistently a guy you don't want to face in the playoffs because he runs the ball, he plays good defense, and he's good at clock management. All those things translate in the playoffs no matter what, because you're not staying up to date on the latest meta plays. You're just using your brain and you're winning consistently. So Dom is my pick. Third down. What is your favorite storyline heading into the playoffs? Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I think my favorite storyline is just who the hell is going to come out of the NFC. I mean, I think literally it's the first time I've ever seen a 1 through 7 where I think that any single one of them could come out of and make the Super Bowl. In the AFC, Bean's not going anywhere, but in the NFC, I think anybody can. I think my favorite storyline is it Wine's time? This guy's a really good player. I've played him once, I think, and he's just really, really good. He's obviously the 2 seed. He's got a really good team. He's got Patrick Mahomes. He's got set feet lead. I think someone said he's got superstars or better. Like there's a star under every player on defense or an X. And he just really hasn't done much in the playoffs as far as, getting past, you, Dan, et cetera, and, making that playoff push. So I think for me, being in that 2 seed, he's going to get probably Dan. If he can get over that Dan game, which again, that's going to be tough. But I think my favorite storyline is one, who comes out of the NFC, and then is it Wine's time?
That's good. Dan?
Yeah, for me, it always comes down for playoffs is about pressure. I mean, that's what's so great about playoffs is it's not just about your team. It's not just about the matchups, but it's about, can you handle the pressure? We have seen it over and over and over again. Guys missing field goals, guys calling a wrong timeout, screwing up defense at the wrong time. And I think there's just a ton of pressure, especially on the AFC side, that I'm excited for. I mean, again, as hard as I've been riding Prime, the facts are the facts. He's hasn't really made a strong playoff run since season 1. And now we're 8 months removed from that. And so, if he does get filthy, it's sort of like, okay, 10 out of 10 times I'm probably choosing Prime, but all of a sudden now pressure for Prime to win. I mean, if Prime blows that game, he knows it. He's going to hear it for the end of time. And so all that pressure's there. Wine's got a great team. But can he do it? Can he win? And so that pressure's there. Who's going to get their second Lombardi of the cycle and take the lead on the team of the cycle? So I think all the pressure is what I'm excited for. That's the storyline, and I'm excited.
It's good. I got 2 conference and 1 personal. I'll go personal first. Yeah, the pressure side of things is fun. The storyline of the barbs I've shared with Dan. Wish Q was there just so I could beat him, but I mean, Dan says I haven't won a Super Bowl in a while. I did just make the AFC Championship game last season, so that's a deep playoff push. But besides that,
you won one game.
Yeah.
You won one game. That's not a push. You won one game. Chill on that. Chill on that.
Because I was good enough to get the bye week, and you weren't. The truth is, the pressure of me winning the second Super Bowl before Dan is right there, and whether Dan wants to admit it or not, the pressure of winning a second Super Bowl for him is right there because he's jabbed a lot, and now he's going to have to answer too. And there's a lot of guys in the NFC side of things who, when I just look at a specific storyline, I think of different matchups. I think of, hey, can Straw get back to the Super Bowl? After season one, he fell off kind of completely. I think he missed the playoffs once or twice, maybe. Doink, he's kind of had a down season, but the NFC's wide open. Can Larry be that next big thing? Obviously, AFC side of things, there's Bean. Can he get past Dan? I think Dan and him, there'd be 3 straight.
No, he can't.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be terrible. I feel bad for the guy. So, can Gutta? I mean, it looks like it's going to be Gutta 7 seed and Wine at 2. Wine let Gutta in. What if can Gutta beat Wine and we'll make him regret it? So lots of fun stuff, and then obviously I would love to play Dan in the playoffs. That would be just an icing on the cake for me, just for obvious reasons.
You don't want to see any of this. I'm telling you this now. After you scrape by a win in the regular season and then got gifts, you don't want any part of this. So you just hope that Bean, is my kryptonite and he can knock me out because you want no part of this.
I'm not going to debate you, but one thing I did ask you to do was to make sure you were the 6th seed, and I noticed you had very intentionally beat Fins in a meaningless game. Interesting.
That had nothing to do with it because
let's go, baby.
I have no idea what would have happened. I could have dropped all the way to the 7th seed.
You could have tried.
I would have dropped to the 7th seed. Hey, I'm confident I'm going to get to the AFC Championship game. You get to it. You get there.
You could have.
You get there.
You could have put it in the spot, and you decided not to put it in the spot for some reason.
Get there.
Very interesting is all I got to say.
All right.
Let's move on. Let's spread some love. 4th down. Dan, I think you're first.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I mentioned this guy already, but I just want to keep giving him some credit. Is Larry? Just because the way that you enter into a league, there's so many variables as far as not only gameplay but your scheduling, your conduct, fitting into the culture. And man, this guy it just seems like he's done that across the board. I haven't heard one little jab, one little shot at who Larry is as a scheduler or gameplay. Yeah. He gives a little bit to some guys, even though he doesn't know everybody yet, but then he's quick to admit his own mistakes or quick to kind of pull back. And man, I'm excited for who this guy's going to be. Not just this cycle, but the cycle to come. Over the past few seasons, we've added some really good guys. I don't want to go through the list, but I think someone like AJ, I'll use as an example, just fits the culture of who we are. Wants to help out, wants to be a part of things, and I think Larry might be that next guy. And so, keep it up, Larry. You're doing a great job, and I'm excited for what your future looks like.
Good.
Yeah, I'm going to spread my love on I'm going to go international. I'm going to spread it on Fins. I know we've made it very, very clear on this show the 3 of us do not like him, but you can't take away from what he's done. He's his division.
Whoa, wait a second. That's all right.
Dan,
I'm on mute. Wait, don't be speaking for me. There ain't no hatred for Fins.
I didn't mean to air your dirty laundry,
okay?
But
yeah, come on now.
I can't stand Fins.
You and Prime can have your hatred.
I can't stand Fins. That guy's just a freaking.
Leave my name out of your mouth, okay?
Fins gets
stubs
his toe.
Dan, it's my turn. You spread your love. I'm going to spread mine.
Yeah, Dan, spread your love, Matt. Spread it on us.
Fins has he was in the running, right? I mean, it was him and Bean, a little bit of KJ in there for the running of the AFC East.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, the records aren't that great, but look, you're in a division, and that's if your division's bad, that's not your fault. So he had a chance to win it. He even said, hey, look, I'm a handful of wins kind of guy, and now I'm competing for the playoffs, and hey, I'm proud of my accomplishments and my improvement. And hey, everyone has different goals, and I think he's seeing improvement. He's got a really good quarterback. He's got a good team. He's got his team. So I'm excited to see if maybe he can take the next step next season. I mean, He's only 2 games out from the lead, and I didn't look at how his games versus Bean went, but my guess is that was probably the difference. And then on the NFC, man, I feel like Dan took a shot at him earlier, so I gotta kind of pick him up off the floor, and that's Gilbert. Look, the guy hasn't won a game since January. I think there was real football the last time he won a game, and Meats has now made a graphic of the last time he won a game. But what I will say is, in chat, you can give Gilbert all the crap in the world about not winning games and getting blown out or whatever. He takes it in stride in the chat, and that's one thing that I've always appreciated about Meats. But Gilbert, I don't know what I would do if I hadn't won a game since January, guys. I don't know if I would still be here because I just. And that's not me telling Gilbert to leave. I hope he doesn't take it the wrong way. I just think it takes a very special person to take the crap and just continuously lose. And leagues have to have guys like that have no success. Like, you talked about Coop, who's really struggling. You need guys like that who can take losing and not just quit, because it's easy to stay in the league when you win. It's difficult when you lose. And it's guys like that make a league 32 people.
That's good, Matt. And Gilbert is definitely special in many ways. For me, I just want to spread, and this is maybe a cop out a little bit, but I'm genuinely serious when I say this. I just want to spread my love to the entire league. Heading into this cycle, I was like probably a little drained. Last 2 cycles, we've had blips. We had, some people who took a lot of management, and I feel like, you're going to have league turnover. There's going to be bickering in chat occasionally. We're a very high active, high octane, very close knit brotherhood. So there's going to be bickering, but it's recharged me from the sense that, hey, everybody's bought in, everybody's kind to each other for the most part. And it's been a low stress cycle, and it's just been much needed for me personally to want to keep doing this. So I'm just very thankful for everybody who's just, we don't always agree. There's 32 different personalities from different cultures and backgrounds and upbringings, but we all try to put our differences aside and work towards a common goal. And yes, there's going to be some crap we have to deal with in a Madden league, just like you have to deal with at your job, but you choose to be here and you choose to be, and most of you guys have made it, made the decision to be happy and deal with certain things you just have to deal with. So I appreciate it. Thanks for making it good for me and easy for me to just run this thing. And I appreciate you guys all. So, Matt, what's your extra point?
Yeah, so I figured the top 5 teams is kind of solidified by the seeding in the league. I certainly could have maybe spiced it up a little bit, but I went with a topic that I saw in chat. I don't know if it was recently or a week or 2 ago. Chat moves so fast, but I went top 5 studiers in the league, and I didn't just go guys that go into practice mode and try and figure things out. I took it as a totality of what I've seen across the league. I watch a lot of games. Obviously, it's part of the gig. But at number 5, I've got Filthy. I follow everyone on Twitch, right? It's just easier to follow everybody on Twitch, and he is in multiple leagues. I'm almost 100% positive. He can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you watch him play, his passing style, he doesn't just run 4 verticals and throw the streaks between the cover 3 all the time and just call it a day. His timing on his routes is really, really good. He seems to know who's going to be open all of the time and knows what defense. I feel like either he's studying outside of the game, or since he's in multiple leagues, he's using that time to really, really study how the game works. Maybe he's got a league that he doesn't really take as serious, and so he fools around in that league. I'm not sure. But at number 4, kind of a similar situation, except I know Straw's in 17 leagues. And so when I first played Straw, I was like, oh my God, this guy is like calculated. Like, I feel like all of the plays he's running, I should put in my playbook, because they are like, man, that's a really good route concept. Or gosh, that's a really nice check down that he has in that play, that if the deep ones aren't open, it's always open. And I had to adjust to that and know which plays he was running. He runs a very calculated offense. If you want to know how to beat Straw, talk to me. I can tell you when he picks his formation, I can tell you what play it is. And I feel like when someone is that calculated, they probably have studied a little bit. And being in 17 leagues, he's seen a lot. At number 3, this might shock a lot of people, especially if you take the bait, but I've got Coach Pauly. I'm sorry, and I mentioned it on this show before. Watch Paulie's offense. This guy makes more hot routes, more motions, more everything than anybody around. I mentioned one time he's got a play where he motions a wide receiver over, and then when he snaps it, the halfback goes on the flat and he throws it to him instantly, and all of his receivers block for him. Nobody else is running that play, and you don't just happen upon that. So I'm going to go with Coach P. And at number 2, I got Dan. I think Dan makes it clear that he studies. But I think Dan, if this was a most efficient study list, it would be Dan, right? Because he doesn't just go into YouTube and go, money play. He doesn't do that. Yeah, well, maybe a little bit. But what Dan does is he pays attention. If I turn match on, I just turn the sucker on and call cover 4 and whatever happens. If it doesn't work, I'm like, match sucks, right?
Yeah.
But Dan goes and turns match on and looks at what happened, what was different. Oh, okay, so that didn't work. What formation were they in? Okay, so maybe I can't run match against bunch or trips or single back. He will pay attention to what is happening, not just look at and type in what works. There's 2 different kinds of studying there. I think Dan's the most efficient at that. Number 1, it's the Rocket Man himself, right? Yeah. Elton John.
Yep. It's
Bean. He always has the most hours played in this game. And, on 4th and Inches, you guys talked about excuses, right? What's your least favorite excuse for when someone loses? The thing I hate when someone has a bunch of hours on the game, because nobody cares. Hey, you paid for the game. If you like it, play the dang thing.
Yep.
Oh, I left my PlayStation on. No. That probably does happen. I've seen Bean do it. But I think that's a cover-up at this point. The guy rocket catches. No one else is rocket catching. Yep. I haven't seen rocket catching since Madden was on the PS2 or something. So
same. It's
Bean, 800. He's going to have 1,000 hours by the time this is all said and done. He's rocket catching. He talked about, something with Kyler Murray and Rita. I mean, he is leaps and bounds above everybody else when it comes to studying, whether he likes it or not.
Yeah, it is insane. It's really insane. Dan, what's up? What are you thinking?
Oh no, I like the list. I like the perspective. I think Matt's keying on some things. I think he missed KP off of that list. It might be a little too new.
Yeah.
But KP is definitely a studier. I laugh my head off when someone says something about watching YouTube because, my offense really demonstrates a YouTube offense. But hey, whatever. People just can't admit that I take the game seriously and I study habits and I study what people like to do, but that's fine. I'll take my number 2 spot. I'll take that as a little jab at coming after me. So we'll see what happens with that.
Maybe not.
No, yeah, I didn't think about KP. I did play him this season. I got a bug on my windshield that I call KP, so I didn't really think of him.
Yeah.
Well, flooded that guy.
That's
if he's studying, he might want to get a new book or something.
Oh man, Matt's cooking KP on Total Access. Guys, we're pushing 30. Oh, we're at 28 minutes. It's SML Total Access. The playoffs are here. I'm just going to say it right now. Dan, if I see you in an AFC Championship game, a diss track is dropping before the game. I've got it written. I've got it ready to go. Be ready for a Dan diss track before the AFC Championship game. I got to start writing it, actually, but it's written in my head. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.